investigate these parabolas throughout the year. But here we're going to practice how we solve them by factoring. So first, when we are factoring, we are going to check to see how many terms does my polynomial have. It's going to have 3 terms. So what that means is that this is going to factor into 2 binomials. So if you have 3 terms in your polynomial, it's going to factor into those 2 binomials. Then I've got an a term of 1. So I look at the front here, it's an a term of 1. So that means that my first terms are going to have to be x and x. So I'm going to fill in x there, fill in x there. Now the numbers that I'm going to be dealing with in my factors, it's going to be a little riddle, a little number riddle that I need to figure out. I need to somehow multiply to negative 45, and then those same 2 numbers need to add to negative 4. So I like to think of the multiplying part first. So how could I multiply to 45 or negative 45? So has anybody got any numbers that would multiply to 45? And you can go ahead and just shout them out. Excellent. 5 and 9. Then I've got to get to negative 45. So if I need to multiply to a negative number, one of my numbers needs to be negative, one of my numbers needs to be positive. So if I would use a negative 9 and then a positive 5, that would multiply to negative 45, and then negative 9 plus 5 is also going to add to negative 4, because if you're at negative 9, I think of like temperature, negative 9 degrees, it rises 5 degrees, you're still at negative 4 degrees. So now I have my factors, x minus 9, x plus 5. Now to find my 2 solutions, I'm going to take each factor and set it equal to 0. This is called using the zero product property. So we take each of these factors, set it equal to 0, and we solve. So this one, x is going to equal 9. And then this one, you'd subtract 5 over, so x is going to equal negative 5. Those would be my 2 solutions. So after I've got my 2 solutions, I head to my answer box. Now Delta Math is a little picky on how you enter this in. You're going to hit 9. Then you have to hit comma to make another solution, and then you're going to hit negative 5. It doesn't matter if you put negative 5 first and then 9. It'll still recognize that, but you do need to hit the comma to open up a second answer box to get 2 answers. So once we've got our answers here, we'll hit submit. Yes. And we should see the green check mark that we've got our answer correct. We'll head into the next section. So we'll try this again. We've got a trinomial on this one as well. So we've got trinomial, so we're going to factor it into 2 binomials. So here I need to multiply to negative 35, and I need to add to negative 2. Well, to get to 35, I have to get 7 and 5. That's the only way I can multiply to 35, besides 1 and 35, but that's not going to be very common where we have to do that. But to add to negative 2, then it's going to have to be a negative 7 and then plus 5, because negative 7 times 5 is going to equal negative 35. Negative 7 plus 5 is going to equal negative 2. So I'm just using that little riddle to help me out. Now I'm going to take each of these factors. We'll set those equal to 0. And we'll get x is equal to 7. X is equal to negative 5. So there would be my 2 solutions for that one. Okay, and then there would be hopefully my result. So I'm going to give about a minute here. So you got about 1 minute. You can kind of practice on your own, and I will be here for support. So if you have questions, you can throw them up in the chat up there, or you can also turn on your microphone, let me know. But I'll give you a couple minutes to work on the factoring, and then we're going to get into doing elimination next. Awesome. So I see some of you are in your Delta Math. Great. If you're still on the Google Meet tab, why don't you get into Google or into your Delta Math and you can practice a couple of these. All right, I'm seeing some green check marks, so some of you are getting that first section complete. We're going to finish up then looking at how we use elimination. So we'll do one, maybe two problems here. So first off, for elimination, we are going to look to add or subtract our two equations together in order to eliminate a variable. What you're looking for when you're eliminating is you're looking for a set of, or a set of two variables that have one coefficient that's negative and then one coefficient that's positive, that they're exactly the same, or the number in front. So one number in front is negative, one number in front is positive, and if they're the exact same number, they'll add together to make zero. So a negative plus a positive of the exact same equals zero. So here I'm going to add my equations together, and then what's going to happen is negative 6x plus 6x is going to make 0. Then I'm going to take negative 9 plus 5. That's going to equal negative 4y. And then I've got a negative 42 plus 10. That's going to equal negative 32. Then to get my y solved out, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4, which is going to be y equals 8. The y coordinate is that second coordinate, so I'll put an 8 into there. Here you don't have to worry about the comma. They'll have it all set up for you. Once I know my y coordinate, I can put the y back in for either equation and I can solve it out. I'm just going to use that bottom equation. That bottom equation is 6x plus 5 times y, which I'm going to do 5 times 8 equals 10. Then 6x plus 40 is going to equal 10. And then I subtract the 40 over. That's going to give me 6x equals negative 30. And then you'll get x is equal to negative 5. Then we can go ahead and put negative 5 in for x. So once you know half of the problem, the y in this case, then you have to use that to go back and find the other half. So we should get both answers. And it's not going to let you submit until you put both answers in. Once you have both answers, you can hit submit. And there's a result, and it's also going to give us a little rundown of the steps that we took. You may notice that you solved it maybe a little bit different than they did, but as long as you're getting the same ending point, that is also going to work. So that brings us to 7:46. If you want to stick around, I will stick around for further help on the review, but you can go off and work on your own if you want to break off to work on your own. I will be on GoGuardian if you have questions, so you can use the chat feature there. I'll also stay on the Google Meet if you have questions, and I can continue to help you with problems on your review. So if you're ready to break off, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a great rest of your day.